Okay, today I'm gonna give a reading on what's going on in the ethereal and what has been manifested. What we need to know about the current situation on Earth. Okay, so what happens is that, we all need to conquer our fears. Right? There's a lot of happenings on Earth, whether it's fires or flood, right? All these have to be conquered through fear, or rather to conquer our fears, right? We have to empower ourselves, right, in order to resolve our issues, whether it's to look for the creator to help us in elevating or to clear away all these waters, right, to bring it to places where there are fires, right, to put out all these fires, or we have to do something ourselves, right, being empowered in our position, right. Some people, or some of these light workers, claim themselves to be awakened, right, but they seem not to be able to tell what to do, how to solve the issues. But mainly it's because AI and robotics has been creating all these limitations in our beliefs. They have been put into our body systems, right? Maybe some of you may not even be aware that you are being robotized or digitized by some of the circuit boards in our body systems, in our brain, right? Whether it's through Neuralink or circuit boards, or whether it's through all these antenna panels, or the cell towers, or the EMF, electromagnetics, or the home appliances that is causing all the problems in all the frequencies, vibrations that influence our mind that we are unable to think, right? So this is why, we need to change our mindset. But in order to change our mindset, there's a lot of things we need to clear. First of all, is the sky that's dark and gray, cloudy, right? If there's a lot of stuff that's in the sky that should not be there, the light cannot penetrate to the sky for us to receive downloads or the truth, to receive information from the creator. So first of all, we need to clear the sky, right? Even for all these negative healing groups, why they are negative is also because they did not do enough spiritual work to clear the skies, right? There are some poison in the sky that actually block all this light from the creator. They are turning dark and they are poisoned because of that. All this stuff, all these chemicals in the sky are actually affecting them as well, making them poisonous or even viral, right? Viruses. This is why they got corrupted for many years, right? It could be millions of years that they became corrupted, right? Unable to know the truth, right? Why there were galactic wars is also because of some corruption happening, whether it's in the skies or some of the experiments that they did, which could be adding poison to their system, right? Something that they consume or breathe that cause corruption in their body systems, which degraded their DNA or RNA, right? So they find difficulty changing their mindset because of that, right? That's why they became like negative alien groups, right? Aliens, they can be impartial, they can be just neutral, or aligned to light or truth. So why they're negative is also because of all these energetics that they need to do the spiritual work, right, to clear any shadows within them. Okay, so why the wars carry for so long is because of that. Okay, so So okay, these two ships, okay, they represent, those of Christ consciousness. All right, in some of these analogies where they describe ships as entities that are more obedient, right? More kind, soft. They are more abiding, right? So this is representing, angels who are obedient, abiding, right? They follow the teachings of the Christ consciousness of Jesus, or Source, or Creator, right? They are more obedient. They are more understanding, softer, right? So for our light workers, okay, you need to clear your blockages. Okay, there are blockages as in, okay, maybe you are very sensitive to the moon energy, right? To clouds, right? The sky may be very foggy, very cloudy, right? Heavy, right? It can be dark. It can be a lot of different types of clouds, right? You see in the clouds, there are many different formations, right? Some of these different clouds, there are different chemicals, right? What I understand now about some of these clouds is because these may be coming from angels, humans, or even aliens. All right, some of these are containing DNA, cells, molecules, or atoms. Some of these are parts that came out of our body when there was a pole shifts or Earth shifting, to other coordinates that cause all these to flow out of a body, right? Because of gravity changes, right? The electromagnetic field can be heavily disrupted, right? It can cause people to spiritually die every night, when this happens. Whenever the pole shifts, right? There's a lot of sound imbalances in some of the home appliances like microwaves, refrigerators, electric motor or electric vehicles charging stations. Alright, some of the energetics in electric cars faces a lot of problems because of this. It changes in the sound, light, frequencies, vibrations, right, caused by CERN, right, the CERN, CERN, right, this large Hadron Collider. Okay, this big machinery in Switzerland, I think, in Geneva. Okay, it's causing a lot of problems for our particles, right, for our psyche. Okay, because of the huge energetics that they are using, right, using electricity to manipulate our particles, right? So it causes a lot of disruptions in terms of our light, sound, feel, our cells, molecules, right? It's overly exaggerated to the point that it changes our body construct from human to, demons, reptilians. It actually downgraded us, even like some of them, to insects, like butterflies, right, mantis, right, a lot of all these negative alien groups. So it's very disruptive. So we have to heal ourselves enough, right, to get out of CERN, right, to shut down the machinery, and then to get back our own cells, molecules, all our soul parts, and to heal our sound, light, frequencies, vibrations, waveforms, wavelengths. Right, so these are all these blockages that's causing a lot of disruptions. Why there are fires, flooding, people dying, a lot of energetics that needs to readjust it, even in the cosmos, right, in the star systems, even in source field and all the super universes, right, in deep space, in the earth. There are so many of all these changes or amplifications of the whether it's air particles or in the quantum field, right? There's a lot of changes that needs to readjust back, right? So there's a lot of adjustments in the frequencies, right? So there's quite disruptive, right? Some people cannot take it, and they pass on. So the foresight and careful planning. So whenever we have all this technology, people trying to invent technology, they have to be very careful, right? They need to have that foresight and careful planning, and most of all, they have to clear the skies first. Then their mind is more accurate, more able to tell what they can do, what they should not do. Otherwise, they come up with inventions that can be detrimental to the cosmos. They can damage the cosmos. Alright, it can be quite damaging. Recall those history in Atlantis, ancient Atlantis. That's about like 10,000 years ago. So during that time, there were huge abuse of crystal energies. That's too huge. Right, there might be certain effect, or it could be similar ideas, or they use huge energies like crystals, or huge crystals to manipulate energies that causes huge explosions. So this is not something to mess with. Okay, they may be mixing with electric currents, electricities. So there could there could be robotics technology as well during that time. So there's a different mix. All these are a lot of energy that they manipulate. But if they do not know how to handle the energy, or too huge for them to handle, if their mind is not clear enough, they can get pulled away and go haywire and become demonic, right? Why entities become demonic is because of these huge energies that they don't know how to handle, the light sound aspects of the energy, right? So they have to align themselves to the light, right? You see these cards here, 3 of them contains a lot of gray dark skies. It's not the background of the sky. It's not the background of the cosmos, right? It's actually like graphites, black goo, right? All these are the dark energies. These are negative entities there that have not awakened, that has not done any clearing. These are toxics. So in order to have foresight and careful planning, right, the sky must be clear, right? This one is still not totally clear, right? There's still like a fallen leaves and all that, right? The lotus flower is also not open yet. All right, in order to open the lotus flower to bloom, right, there needs spiritual awakening and enlightenment. So all this needs to be very clear. The mind has to be clear. The consciousness needs to be clear. Right? So all these needs spiritual awakening. In order to do that, right, they have to be aligned to the Creator. But some of these inventions, scientists, right, because they are already possessed with some of these negative alien groups, right? So all these inventions are actually making them demonic, right? Some of the invention, okay, Bell was actually the one who came up with CERN machine, right? But the formula actually was not approved yet, right? It's still in the investigation study stage. But he went to make the CERN machinery, right, thinking he can actually create that machine, right? But it's not approved yet, right? So before it was even experimented or tested first, right, it was being implemented, right? Or he could have tried to help the whole entire cosmos, he made many of all these machines, right? The particle accelerator machine, right? I think there's quite a lot of the machines inside CERN itself. So that's why it's overly exaggerated, or they are done simultaneously, that it cannot be done simultaneously. Otherwise, it's like you're amplifying the effect. It should be done stage by stage or one by one. And it involves like everybody. So yeah, there's too much of the energetics that now we have to get back to our original place or consciousness, where those particles, they have to slow down. Otherwise, there's too much sound that we cannot take it now. Too much noise. So that's why he needs to create that machine is because there's probably a directive from creator, or he himself, he wants to, like, for our consciousness to evolve, for transformation. Yeah, but there are other considerations when it comes to this machinery. Apparently, it's only when we experience it, and then we realize that, there are other considerations for this machine. Sound is playing a huge part. And also when, angels awaken during this acceleration process or DNA manipulations, right? When we awaken, right, there needs some kind of like guidance, as to, when we find upon new gifts, when we awaken our psychic gifts, right, we do certain things which, may or may not have an effect on, the entire cosmos or the earth. It may interact or cause effect, or some other energy, some other entities, if they are not healed enough, right, they can get into fights. Yeah, so there's a lot of considerations when it comes to the, awakening, right? Some may be faster, some may be slower, or, at different space, a different pace, that there may be misunderstandings, or there are some energetics, some are more sensitive than others, right? So they want to have more knowledge by accelerating the particles, right? It's like helping our consciousness to expand for our spiritual development. But I think there's some issues about the formula that's being placed in the CERN machine. Right? Apparently, it needs more time to study and to experiment, or to understand, or what other factors are causing the particles, to overreact, or whether this machinery is really not the right model, or accelerated too fast, or not ideal for our spiritual development. Sometimes science and spirituality, right, sometimes they cannot mix totally or merge, because each will have their own belief, right? Technology, scientists, they have their own limitations, right? Their knowledge, if they just based on science, it's just okay, based on maths, numbers. Technology is based on programmings, which is also using numbers and codings, right? Some of these codings is not human language, right? So it's different. So that's why there may be some kind of a conflict when it comes to all these programs, softwares, that work together with humans, right? Humans understand based on words, right? As in numbers, right, it's not as straightforward, right, when it comes to like codings, because coding is more for AI and robotics, right? It's more to make things work, right? So, you know, it's two different things, right? Humans is organic, whereas robotic is, you know, a software, it's a program, right, based on numbers and, you know, computer language, right? It's different. So some entities, you know, some of these entities, when they are corrupted, all right, these are the Greys who came up with this idea of turning humans to robotics, but it doesn't work, right? That's why when we put all these programs into CERN, turning humans into robotics in CERN, well, it's really too much of energetic that cause a lot of disruption, which is what you see, you know, it's like close to end of the world. It's really serious, you know, when I think about all these energetics, it's too much. So it has to be approached in slower pace, right? So spirituality, you don't need all these programs, you don't need all these softwares or technology, right? It's just our consciousness, right? We don't think in terms of numbers, right? Numbers like, okay, numerology, you can understand. Like for some people, okay, they look at life path numbers or based on their birthdays, or what's the trait, what's the character or personality traits, what's how is the mindset, how is their sense of purpose, right? What is in common for all those with certain life path, right? From life path 1 to 9, what is it that they have in common, right? But in terms of all this numbering system, actually is meaningless. It's only you assign these numbers, like, you know, in barcodes, QR codes, right? In barcodes, it's only like you're assigning certain product with the numbers, right? It's running in sequence, or there's, you know, certain hidden codings. You know, some of these entities, they may think in terms of, you know, controlling people's DNA based on these numbers, but our DNA is not based on just numbers, you know. It's not right. Our DNA is supposed to be based on consciousness, right? Not numbers. Okay, if you are going to restrict ourselves to numbers, you know, that means it's limiting, you know. It's limiting our beliefs. It's limiting our psyche based on numbers. And anyone can just manipulate based on numbers. But consciousness is supposed to be, you know, expanding. Right? If you put yourself based on numbers, even if you're gonna put like how many numbers is it? 9 numbers or what? It's still limiting. You're just basing on 9 numbers. But in consciousness, it can be anything, right? Because there's a lot of secrets in DNA, right? Which we may not know, right? These are the entities who wants to find out more about this DNA, right? By activating those DNA, but their consciousness is not clear enough or not pure enough to, you know, get their DNA activated, right? If the consciousness is still, you know, limited to power struggle, right? Getting into top positions, or they want to be source, but their motive is not pure, right? If they want to be source, yes, anyone can be source. But if your intentions is not pure, if you just want to dominate or control other people just for, you know, show off, or as a species, oh, the Grey is able to be, you know, source, or, you know, that sort of thing. You know, it's just the ego that is telling you all these things, but it's not important, right? To be source is, you know, you have to be responsible to all lives. Okay, whatever consciousness, you're gonna affect everybody, right? And any problems in the cosmos, you have to be there to help, right? But you must know the right solution, otherwise you mess things up and make it worse. Yeah, so it's not as easy to be source, right? Not just because to stroke the ego, or just because people tell you, oh, we all need to be source, or you compare with others, oh, that entity has risen or ascend to source level, but you're still stuck here. But it's still ego, right? It's still an ego issue, right? In order to be source, you have to ascend in the way that you heal your shadows, you work on your ego, you don't pay attention to any ego talks trying to make you feel that you're not good enough, then you need to fight. All these things needs healing and awareness of what's going on in your mind. Okay, so there's light here, right? So the third eye needs to have light in order to have knowledge and wisdom. So this represents like new earth. Okay, we need to have those nature back, right? Those colors, those color rays needs to be back. We need to restore back the nature, right? That has been damaged because of all the pole shifts and all those alien attacks, right? All of us are affected by CERN, right? So yeah, those flowers needs to open in order for us to be enlightened, right? So there needs some contemplation, right? Reflecting upon the waters, right? To have self-contemplation, to see ourselves in the mirror. Hey, what happened to you, to your psyche? What's within you that needs to awaken? Who is your true self? Right? So in order to do that, right, you need to contemplate. You need to be in your inner self. Right? You need to clear the skies first. Be at peace. Right? The waters needs to be calm. Right? If the waters are flooded and all those waves that is, going in the rushes, how are you going to contemplate? How are you going to get enlightened if the waters